Are we set up? We're ready? All right. Oh, yeah, I see the picture now. Thank you. So why don't we call this meeting to order? Do you want to take the roll call?
Yes. Kathy Cavalier. Present. Tiffany DeMayo here. Chris Wilson,
Here.
Frank Falcone,
Here.
Bill Baker, absent. Donna McCall, absent. Yeah, we're sharing one.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Pick up very
I'll move it
loud.
over. a little.
That's okay. That's good. Thank you. Have a quorum, so we should be good.
We need four, right?
Yep, you're good.
Good. Let's have a moment of silence and you would lead the pledge of allegiance. That would be great.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's good. I can hear you and you can hear me. I make a motion that we approve the agenda for today.
I would let that be.
We don't want you misnamed.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will bypass the public comments unless we get a public.
But just for the record, I would say that we had no public here to have public comment, just not to say we bypassed them. So I don't want somebody to come back and say that we didn't allow that. So,
I kind of thought that was assumed, but
no, I understand, but if somebody's listening to the recording, I want to make sure that.
may I rephrase? We have no audience in attendance, so we will go past the public comment, but
Yep.
we can go back to it if somebody does come in.
Yep.
I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 13th meeting. Can I get a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. And that takes us to section 7. Who is updating us on
That'll be my update.
that'll be your mistake?
I'm staff.
Good staff.
I do that in case I end up not being able to be here. Whoever's here, we give you the update.
Okay.
So just so you know that I don't know if I've talked to you all about this in the past, but every 10 years, the township has to do a new comp plan. It's a comprehensive plan. It looks broadly at the township, what we're trying to do, what we want to look like 10 years from now, or at least what we want to look like in the future. I always say what you do now probably helps what you look like 20 years from now. It usually takes that long for things to kind of get flowing through the system. But you lay the foundations today, and that's really important. And so we are due to update our comp plan. The last one we passed was in 2016. Takes about a year to put one together. So we are starting that process in the next couple of weeks. Well, we've already selected the consultant. I've already had an initial meeting with the consultant and the staff to kind of review what we've accomplished over the last 10 years. And now we're getting ready to start meeting with the steering committee that the board has put together. The board had picked 7 people to focus on the comp plan and 7 people to focus on the steering or on the strategic plan. And then we've hired the consultant. And so we will be taking those steps. I brought that to your attention because there's a big piece of the comp plan that looks at historic resources. And so it's important that through that process, particularly when we get to public meetings, which we'll start having in September of this year, that you will want to make sure that you're involved. It's a really good time for people to give input. You will probably also be a focus group at some point, I would think, or a stakeholders group, however they call it. And so it would be potentially you with a couple other groups that would get together and talk about what's important and what we want to see. And in that way. So just know that that's coming. Want to make sure it's on your radar, that you pay attention. If you see an invite to it, I want you to know what it is. The comp plan is a longer document. The strategic plan is a more narrow document in that the strategic plan will be for 4 years. The comp plan will be for 10. And then we're going to do 2 updates to the strategic plan, one for 3 and another one for 3. So in year 3, we'll start doing the work for the next 3 years. And then in the year 3 of that one, or beginning of the year 3 of that one, we'll start the one for the next one. So the idea is to be in a position that we get to the end of the comp plan and actually have completed, if not everything, at least a good number of things we've started moving forward. And we have the direction and the funding to go ahead and move forward with the things that we think are important. It is a community document. It's something that the community gets to give a lot of input to. So I hope that you not only take advantage of that, but we encourage our community members to do so as well. That's my update.
Should we expect that we will get kind of formal invites to things as they come up, or do we just need to keep our ears to the ground, or?
Well, I think a little bit of both. For sure, if we do a stakeholders meeting, you would get a very formal invite to that. I say very formal, probably be an email. I mean, let's be honest, it'll be pretty simple. But yeah, you'll get a specific invite. When we start doing public meetings, I'll make sure that we get as many people notified as possible. And so we'll use our emails that we have, but also just in case we miss somebody, I would just say, keep your eyes open. We'll give you specific dates. We'll start getting those dates out, letting everybody know so they can get them on their calendar ahead of time. So we're prepared.
All righty. Move to section 8, new business. The first is a discussion regarding how to get plaques for Class 2 resources that we approve. I don't know if this is kind of a Kathy question just to start.
Well, I
first.
just wanted to kind of put it on there, and then if it's something that I put onto the owner, or I somehow work it to get a sponsor for that from the township's business association or somewhere there to, that's how the original plaques were given out. I just didn't know if you want to discuss that issue. In terms of, I don't think that the township would be responsible for that. Not that they couldn't be, but once that we have them already on a lot of them, so they want, and many of them want to have that put on their property. So I've been looking into the prices and so forth, and then I looked into how they were gotten before, and it looked like Rotary and a few other groups sponsored it. So
So
do you guys have any opinion on that? Just so you'll, and I'll move
What are the-
forward with it.
What are the steps that we need to take if we wanted to find a sponsor?
Basically, I would have to give you all the information about the past, plaques that are already out there, what they are for. And you would have to present that to a business or somebody that wanted to sponsor, even if they only want to sponsor 2. You know, it doesn't have to be, oh, you're going to sponsor all of these, because most of them have them. So it could only be like 4 or 5 that don't at this point. The ones that weren't in that inventory probably are the ones. So yes, would you be interested? It would be something like that where we'd have the information. I would put it all and send it to you in a PDF or something like that. And then you could just ask, you could have all the members, the commission members ask. For a
Okay.
sponsor, is there any problem with us doing that kind of thing, getting a sponsor?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, we've done similar things with the, parks activities, I think we just want to. I would call it a soft sale. Like I
Yes.
would not do a hard sale on this,
Okay.
it would be a very soft sale.
What's in
Um,
it for the sponsors?
What is in it for the sponsor? Usually there's a little, I can show you the one that's the round, I forget whose has that. When the Rotary sponsored it, we put the little Rotary thing below it
Okay,
in
so it
metal
does
as
have a
well.
little-
It went on the pole below they look like houses if you've seen them, the green. They're the nicest ones. And then there's some wooden ones. I don't think they hold up as well, and they have to go mounted on the house.
Yeah,
People
assume-
really like the ones that are out.
Because you
Yeah,
can see it.
I assume they can be house mounted or pole mounted or
Yes.
a bunch of different
Yeah.
ways.
So basically, yes, they just get noted that they sponsored it in some way. We can do it on, have it, an icon or something put on the sign. So if the Rotary,
What, like, I don't mean to interrupt you, I apologize. So like, if you have an example, I would use that example as a basis. So that,
I would have to send it to them.
no, I'm just saying, like, so whoever's
That's what I would
doing it
do.
would take an example of
I'll take.
saying, this is what we're
Take
asking
pictures,
you to
yes.
do.
I'll have
And you could
pictures.
show where it shows the sponsor.
It'll have the house and I'll have the picture. We have quite a few of them, trust me.
Mhm.
And we'll get the best ones. And then I have several that have Rotary, because Rotary didn't sponsor all of them. So that was the thing, some different
Okay.
places did. If they would be a good place to start, because we just put them in our new book. And did a
Do
whole
we,
story on them, and we're putting a
and-
whole
and-
wall in the paper mill to them.
And maybe we
So-
figure out what the costs are.
Well, that's what I was
Who might
gonna ask.
sponsor.
Yep. They're gonna.
I
pay
assume that,
like $300
I assume we would ask the homeowner, are you interested?
Yes,
Because not everybody's going to be.
no, and as I said, most have them. The ones who don't are the ones asking.
Mhm.
So
Do we ask them their preference? if
I
they-
haven't been, I've only been reaching out to the people that were approaching me at this point.
All right,
So we've had a few new ones, Millworkers House, the Yarnell House that we did last.
so we
time.
need a list of
The ones
the
that
new-
need it, yes.
owners. Or, yeah,
Oh, yeah, if they don't want it, then fine. It's, the only reason I bring it up is because I've been being
Yeah.
asked by
So, yeah,
everybody
so
that's
if we
been
can
entered
start
in
with
that
them.
wasn't, that didn't
Yeah.
have one.
so we can start with them, and then we need examples, and then, so do you have previous who made the plaques previously? Or what
That's what
vendor
I'm trying
we-
to find.
Okay.
That company, no longer is one that, I can find. I can't locate the exact plaque. That's what I've been looking for, because that's what everybody wants. They want that house. So there's different designs, so
Which
we're
one
still
is
in
it
the
that they
process.
want
The house.
on the,
The
out on
green,
the street? like
yes,
on-
the
yeah.
green, because I think they like the uniformity of it too, that they're all, when you go around.
I think it's better.
Yes,
Because
they all
people
look
can see it as they're
alike.
driving by.
So I'm sure I'll find it, and then
Yeah.
I'll send you that, the cost, and,
Mhm.
when I looked at the different design, it was probably in the three to 400 range for the metal.
Okay.
And then you have to have a mount, hole and have it mounted, so it's not always the easiest thing. Kind of like giving
Sure.
somebody the birdhouse and not the pole to mount it on. It's like just give them the metal sign, but
That's so
don't
silly.
give the whole thing. So sometimes I think what they did was actually include installing it.
Yes,
So-
for the low price.
Well, if somebody's gonna sponsor it, hey, you're gonna sponsor that one for this
Yeah,
house,
all right,
yes. And that would include someone
Alright.
putting it in.
that's fun. Okay.
That's not that hard. I mean, Frank will tell you that. So yeah, so you think that's a good idea.
So why don't we get a picture of what the options are?
I might
right
say-
there?
Is coming.
What I might suggest, and you can shoot me if you want to, but, well, probably shouldn't do it here, but anyway. But what I might suggest to you is that unless the property is a class 1 or a class 2, that you wouldn't sponsor them getting the sign. So in other words, it encourages them.
That's what we're talking about. is
Okay, I
all-
just wanted to
Oh,
make
that's
sure.
already been- That's who's asking.
Mhm.
Okay,
Now
I just
that
wanted
they-
to say,
Where's my plaque? They
Yeah.
thought it came with the designation.
I got you. I got you.
No.
Yeah, so I just want to make sure, like, we would want to make sure that they had taken the steps and weren't
Yes.
fighting
Oh,
us
no,
to
no,
become a class 2, and then
Yeah.
we're giving them something.
they don't get one.
Yeah.
Although some have them, the ones that bought. The
Yeah.
guy, Horace Lewis House. has
Yeah, I
one,
know.
right?
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying
So
that.
does the White
Yeah.
Federal House. Look, they took it down, disappeared. So
Yeah.
they no longer have that one either.
So we'll fact gather and then.
Yes, so I will put down fact gather,
And
and
then
I will
just-
send you the info, and you guys tell me what else you would need after
Okay.
I give it.
And then we'll just make a committee.
To, or individual, there's enough of us, so this is to look for sponsors, and then if you find somebody.
Okay.
You say, hey, yeah, if you get a price and you find a sponsor, we'll do that sign.
Okay.
Start,
All right,
and
let's-
if I get a company that does them, we'll just do them as they come in.
Let's figure out let's figure out what our
Mhm.
parameters are,
Okay,
what they look like currently. What we want to do going forward.
okay.
Okay. 8.2, discussion and possible discussion of streamlining the class 2 resource application, and we looked at, we were talking about both upfront, is there a way to streamline process you go through to get them from the homeowner, and on the back end, how do we deal with having 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 at a time, if that should happen? That makes sense?
Mm-hmm. So,
Didn't you say you had an idea? That's why we were. gonna
well,
talk
yeah,
about
that was,
it today.
this is it. This is the idea. This is why I got 7 of them. So the only streamlining that I was able to come up with, it's still time consuming,
Mhm.
is that I, have a list and I systematically go down and visit every one of them. And I have the person look at the application, agree with it and sign it. And are on board. And so the only other part to that is it imperative, if they agree and do not want to come to a hearing, that we have to do that 30-day? That was what they wanted to know that too.
I don't know how we get out of the 30-day because.
Because I know that the ordinance says unless the owner is the applicant,
Yeah,
you must give notice, which makes it sound like if they are the applicant, you don't notify the owner. Who else do you notify for our hearing?
oh, no, I understand now. If the owner is the applicant, then I think you can just start the process.
That's what that was holding us a little bit.
Yeah.
We didn't know. Because I told them all I represent it and because I'm here with you putting the application in.
Yeah.
And you're agreeing to it.
Yeah, if they're signing the application as their application,
Yes,
I think that's different than
right,
the way the ordinance is written. I would take it that they basically waived the 30 days.
yes. Okay.
I'll verify
that
that,
was
but that's how I
streamlined.
interpret that.
All right,
So that
So,
means.
so for, that's about the only streamlining. I can get 8 done in a weekend. If I don't spend my entire 2 days doing it. From the ones that I already know that are, agreeable to the extent that I do know, I was 7 for 7 on this one.
well,
So,
and that streamlines it here, because if we are
right,
relatively confident that we're not gonna have a lengthy hearing, we can go through more in a
Correct.
day.
so this should speed it up by picking the ones that I know aren't going to be real difficult. And are motivated and want to have it. And
Do we still have,
also there was another reason.
do we still have to notify the neighbors?
That's
We
for
do, but we can do that at the,
planning.
when we do it for the Board of
Board.
Supervisors.
Okay.
Do they do it for the planning commission or not really?
I think there is notification for before the planning commission. I'll have to look at that, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure I think it's at that time as well. So we'll do it
Right.
and get the process notified, yeah.
So that would mean then if the applications are in, say technically at this point, if they waive their hearing, we don't have to do the 30 days. So. if-
You're not waiving the hearing, you're waiving, they're waiving the 30 days is what they're waiving. So you still have to have the hearing here.
And
you-
who's been notified to come to that?
Well, they're signing, right?
Right,
So they're coming in and requesting, they're putting the application before you,
yeah.
right?
So they don't have to come in.
They just don't have to wait 30, we're saying they just don't have to wait 30 days
To do,
to come before you. If they're the ones that are putting in the application.
So would they just get notification that, hey, your property will
They'll
be heard
know,
at this meeting?
we'll be able to tell them that you're on the next agenda.
Okay,
And so we just need time to be able to tell them they're on the next agenda and get it on the next agenda.
that could be even in the middle, if there's only 2 weeks to the next agenda.
Yeah, right, but it can't be the week of.
No, no,
Right,
Because
But it
we,
can be, but it doesn't have to be the 30 days.
it
is what
wouldn't be
you're
the
saying.
full 30
Okay.
days, like for notification
confused.
purposes.
Okay.
So if they're the way I interpret it, I'll check it again and I'll make sure Rich is in agreement. But the way I interpret the ordinance, and I'll try to look it up here while we're doing some other stuff. But the way I interpret the ordinance is that if the homeowner is the applicant, we don't need to give them 30 days notice to say there's going to be a hearing because they're the applicant.
Right, okay,
So we will get them on the agenda.
okay.
For your agenda. You go through, you determine, yes, they have these 5 qualifications or these 2 qualifications, whatever that is. You make your recommendation to the Board of Supervisors that this house should go through the process to be added to the historic zoning map as part of that. And so as they do that, then there's a full process we go through before the planning commission
Right.
and before the board. So there's
So the rest just.
the
will be
rest
same.
starts this process.
Yeah, we were trying to get the beginning part more streamlined when
If,
when the owner
if
is
they
there,
are,
we can-
if they are the applicant, I think you can do that.
Yeah.
But I don't think you can do that if they're not the applicant.
No, I wouldn't think. That's why.
So,
But it still has to come here and have a
Yes.
hearing that you lay out, that you agree to what their qualifications are in this meeting. And then goes on to the board.
right, but so you're saying we can shortcut the 30 days, but we need to give you the information that it's gonna go on at least 2 or 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah, so that, because we still have to let the
Yep.
homeowner know that it's gonna be on this meeting.
Is our
Right.
expectation that the homeowner does the presentation? Because in the past, it's really been Kathy who's.
I don't care who does it, but
Okay.
if the homeowner's the applicant, they should at least be here
Yeah,
in support of their application.
okay.
So,
I didn't know how much work we were trying to put on the,
I mean,
outside of just please sign the application, so it's coming. from
right,
you
but I mean,
to-
they should make a commitment to being here. That's the reason for the notification and
Okay.
getting it.
So the then part that, cause we're doing it that way, the part that we can omit is what we did today. We don't need to do this twice. Because that is the period where we decide if these meet the criteria by the presentation. So I don't need to present these twice, like this.
Right.
This, like, you see them on here, yes, this just means that they're going forward. These are the applicants.
I would think today we could simply say we agree that we're gonna,
Yes,
Do these
because
next
if the applicant is the owner, you wouldn't know anything.
so we don't need to read anything.
Would
in.
not know any information about these, just that they were sent in.
Yeah,
So the next meeting would be when the information would come out.
correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just put them on here so you knew that they were valid.
Nice.
So, okay. So that, okay, that's helpful.
And the ability to see what we have coming up a few weeks out will allow us to determine how many we think we can realistically do in a meeting. Because we'll know we should have 7 that are favorable, and we shouldn't have any expectation that there'll be a long hearing for any of them. Or we'll know we may have 1 or 2 that may go a while.
Right, but that's usually when somebody objects. Or somebody doesn't think that they should go on. I mean, other than that.
Yep, and we'll know,
Yes,
and we
you
should know
we
that,
should be able to go
and we
through
should know
these
that ahead
pretty
of time.
quickly.
So we can plan this so that we get
Right,
through.
so if there's a
things.
problematic one. That will
Yes,
be- That will be
that way,
earmarked.
that way we don't wind up with any 3-hour meetings that would
Right.
screw with the schedule. Okay,
That makes sense.
and I don't think we have any action items resulting from that discussion, so why don't we move on to discussion regarding community outreach?
Did you, I apologize. Did I miss something? Did you guys discuss the ending process?
We just simply discussed that what we're doing in the beginning and having knowledge of them will just allow us to plan for them so that we don't put too many on in any given meeting.
So you're worried about how many are on your agenda in
Yeah.
the process?
We basically said, if we know that we have 7 that the owners are supporting, we
Gotcha.
can probably do it. If we know that we have 1 or 2 that there might be an owner or a neighbor who aren't supporting, we want to do fewer that meeting because it'll take longer.
Okay,
But, and also just note that for our meetings, neighbors aren't notified.
However, you can't anticipate that it'll never show up. Because the meetings are published and made public and the agenda's out
Right.
there. And I would hope that if there was going to be an issue, we would know it.
Right.
Yeah, that's all we really wanted to touch on the back end.
okay.
It's
I
just-
didn't,
it's
I
just
wasn't
not
sure you were trying to touch on something related to once the board passes it. That's why I was asking.
No, we
We did
We-
touch
we
on
need-
that last time.
we need to, better understand when things are coming up in front of the boards. But that's kind of just a matter of knowing when they're meeting
Okay,
and whether things are on the agenda or not on the agenda.
And then once they're passed, they go into a map. They're somehow incorporated into the map in the township website.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
And a list of them should go. That's easier for people to.
Yeah, so we have our engineer who does our GIS mapping for us.
Okay.
Has recently updated the map from the last go round.
Okay.
It usually takes him a little bit to do that. And so, but that's been done. I think, I'm not sure if it's been put up on the website yet, but I think it has been. So I think it's available.
So then there would be two probably on our webpage, because we have the initial one that just lists them all. Then there's the ones that have been entered into the ordinance as a class 2. Because
What-
all the ones from the Delco inventory, and there's like over 100, they were on the original map. And the original list that went to the webpage, because that's where I've been referring everybody
Okay.
before we ever entered these. So there's a map of historic sites of Newtown Township. And then there's a map of historic sites that have been entered into the ordinances class 2. Now, they're the same, most of them, but there's many more on that one map.
Okay,
So I didn't know, I guess we should check.
I think we have the new map
Okay,
that we're doing.
so I'm gonna look to see what map we have. We have probably the old one, so.
Yeah, we have a link to class 2 historic resources, but I don't know that the list is there yet. On our website.
Right.
Okay,
Okay,
I
that's
think we are starting to touch on community outreach. And if we had plans for it in the short term or long term.
And we discussed that.
Yeah, so we need to be
Just for
prepared.
the record, I would make note that Donna arrived at 5:55.
I know, I looked
I
over and
don't-
saw her there.
I just slipped in.
You snuck in without being seen.
This 5:30 time is brutal for me, so but I'm trying.
Okay, I made a note of that.
Happy to have you.
I did too.
Thank you. These are gonna be 2
Okay.
hours early.
So we've talked previously, like a year and a half ago about community outreach and different things that township activities where we could put up a booth, but we cannot do that without the call it the accoutrement, like the
Which would
brochures,
be this
the
part,
banners,
This stuff.
right?
Well, it's a
Which
good
would be
thing we're discussing that
8.6.
later today.
Huh?
So they actually would be the same. They could have gone, they're kind of together.
So
Yeah,
so we
8.3 and 8.6 are.
so we can move 8.3 down into 8.6.
Mhm.
And community outreach work in hand with the historical society? Or is that's need to be separate? And the commission officially work
Well,
with them?
now, when you're getting, brochures or you're getting a banner, I believe the township logo is on that if you're a township commission, correct? Like you do for the environmental, if we make one. Now, if we make one, we would make it based on whatever graphics the township wants on that. And the Historic Society would pay for it. So we would sponsor that but you would have to give us your graphic or just your logo and I get whatever you want on that banner and we would have it made. That way it would say the commission. So when there's a table or you're there, it says Newtown Square Historic Commission. We have our own that says
Mhm.
society.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, so what we've done in the past is when an organization wants to have a banner for theirs, we'll do it. It just has to have our township logo and then
Mhm.
that is the kind of the base and then whatever you want around it. If you design it, we'll get it made and.
Who
get
do
it
I
to-
send that to? Because we still haven't, I have the brochure, but we still don't have the brochure printed. So is that something I should send to? Have it there too.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I just don't know the process for getting that done. Who within the township would I speak to or? Yeah,
Yeah,
8.5.
if you'll send it, let me get it through and make sure it's approved. The brochure is approved by the board.
Okay,
And once I get it approved by the board, then we can send it out for print.
okay.
How many copies did you want to initially make?
I mean,
Depends on the cost, right?
yeah, it depends on the cost. I mean, probably 150, they're not gonna go bad for a while, right?
We, 250 for about 125 we pay.
Oh.
So I would say minimum 250 will be.
Okay. I
And
mean,
I
that's,
don't think you're gonna pay much more than what we pay, 125.
well, and I'll just do the calculation, whether it's best for me to send it out or whether it's best for me to print them in-house.
Okay.
So. Depends on what you're wanting. Like if you're wanting if you're wanting a glossy, I have to send it out. I don't have the ability to do glossy.
Ours are glossy.
But if
Yeah.
you're doing just a straight, like trifold
Mhm.
that you're handing out.
I, as a print geek, hate glossy
Hmm?
because it reflects
For the
everything.
trifold, I don't think we want glossy anyway.
No, it's ideal if you can write on it. It's ideal if it's
Mhm.
not glossy, so it doesn't reflect, so people can
Sounds
read it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And then for the banner, who would we work with to get the graphics to design it?
If you work with Mara, she's, so Mara's taken over for Heather right now. Because Heather has taken another job, and so until we fill that position, Mara gets to do that. So if you're doing it right now, it's Mara until I tell you otherwise.
What's your email address, Mara?
Yeah,
anything that's.
yep.
Okay,
She makes sure I do what I need to do.
perfect.
And then,
Thank you.
If you want it fast, send it back and I'll have it printed. We'll get a banner in a week.
Okay.
Or an event that's coming up or something. Or in
Okay.
a
We've
week or
gotten a
2
bit out of
weeks.
order.
Who do you use for your banners?
Larry knows, because he gets, oh man, he's banner man. He
Okay,
gets- I tell him a banner and he makes a banner on whatever, one event, and we just use it every year.
yeah,
So he gets them really, I'll find out.
yeah,
'Cause he
just
loves
find out
it.
for me,
He
because I know who we use, and if we can make sure we just, whichever one's the cheapest is what we'll
Okay.
go through.
Take-
And they already have our logo, so it's easy.
Okay, do you
They're all
want
blended
standard
together.
size they usually-
I normally do it so it fits the backside of the tent,
Okay.
but if you want something different, you
Like
just tell me
2x5
what you
or
want.
2x6, something
So
like that.
there's two ways to do it. One is if you want it like, so that it can hang from a table. That's one method. The other method is to do it so it goes across the back of the tent.
Right,
You just have to tell me what you want.
okay.
Velcro can make it go anywhere.
Hmm?
I like the back of the
Velcro
tent
can make it
idea,
go anywhere.
because
Yeah,
people look up more than they look
they
down.
look right ahead, yes.
Yeah, the only advantage to having it, if you have it on a table, is if you happen to be set up someplace where you don't have a tent,
Yeah.
then
that's
you,
true,
you
too.
can always use the one that's on the table. That's the advantage of the table piece. But,
We can get 2, we get them 2x6 for $32, so.
okay, that's pretty, I don't know that I can beat that price.
I don't-
That's pretty cheap.
Don't ask me, all
that like
those, you see
Vistaprint?
Tavern, all those blue ones, he gets all those, he just makes whatever I send him, he sends it, I know, he would tell me, I was like. he-
For 30,
he
that's
loves
a good
that.
deal.
Hmm?
For $36 and their color.
He sent me all this, yeah,
I don't know that I can beat that price, and I get a pretty good price.
Yeah.
he did one of my strawberries, had strawberries on, I mean, he does whatever graphic I send him and he mails them off, so.
Nice.
So yeah, I would do both, because that way you have the option to use them down or up,
So-
that's what we do.
At this point, it seems like our intent is to get geared up to be able to do events and then either pick some out or do them as they come up. I think we missed the last one because we weren't geared up.
You
Right.
have, I took the table for the community table, for July, I think there's actually another one, you said you were
The
available
St.
for that?
Albans
St. Albans, yeah,
Market.
the, Food and Makers Market,
Mhm.
that's a
Well,
good
and
spot
that's-
to have the community.
Yeah, and
table.
that's the other issue is staffing it because I know that everybody's busy.
I offered to do it.
And I'm there because I help with the market.
I drive by there 10 times a day, so I can go there whenever that is.
Yeah, I mean, even if you come for an hour or two, just to be in the, behind the
Is it
table.
Thursdays or Fridays?
Fridays. It's this Friday will be,
And it's at
this
the
Friday
church.
4. Mhm.
That's.
And I'll look on the sign
I
up.
don't know, what do you think? Do you think we can get those brochures?
No.
If you get them to me and I can get them approved, I could do some, I may not by
July.
Friday. It's pretty quick.
July. We have
Oh,
a
I thought you
table
said
in
this
July.
Friday.
Oh, I
No,
thought
no,
you were
it's
saying
for
this Friday. I was like,
I signed up for July with our.
okay, okay. For sure I can do them by then.
Okay, perfect.
Yes, good. Plan on July, that's better. It's like the second Friday of July.
Okay.
That's better than next week.
Yeah, no. That's just the next market. You can see how what the community tables
Okay.
do. It's the 4th of July parade, I think, this week. They have a really good table. They usually do. And then I was going to have when we were looking through this book, this is why it says Use of Historic Society 2024 book. Larry and I were discussing, I want to take out all the ads and consolidate the information to the homes and the owners.
Mhm.
And I feel that that would be a very good, smaller book. It won't cost that much for us to use. Because
Yeah,
we're gonna do
that's-
volumes.
So people could flip through them and.
Yes, and you're looking just at properties. So, and I'll probably do a few other smaller books like that. But if we take the ad out and just have back, we usually get one sponsor
Mhm.
and they're just on the back page. That way the book doesn't have ads through it. So when you're looking. And it would just be for the historic commissions to use. So that would be something you'd have when you did outreach, you'd have these books with.
Mhm.
We're planning a big one. That's why when I go visiting these homes, I'm setting up for next year's book, which
Okay.
will be a lot of properties. So, and families. So I wanted to highlight the people who live in them. So you'll have the book again and
So
any of the books we can take the ads out of.
speaking of 4th of July.
I will be away, so you're on it.
I can't be the only person.
Yeah, but you have to have all this stuff to do.
No, to be in the parade.
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
In what?
the 4th of July parade.
No, you have to have it.
Well, that's it.
No
I'm
deal.
not gonna be the only person walking.
We're at the parade every year, so with the
I don't
crew,
know,
so.
Frank has the perfect mobiles.
Frank, are you there? You can,
We go to breaks.
No,
Do
your
you want
car.
to be in the parade?
In the
your
parade
car?
with one of your cars.
I do it every year.
Could you put a historic commission ban?
I could put a banner on
What car would you use?
it. The longest one I have is a station wagon. I need another week to get it running. It runs, I didn't put the lights in yet.
So you might have that by July 4th. You don't know.
Yeah,
So there
I
you
mean,
go.
I have 7 cars.
I know
Oh,
you
wow.
do. That's
know,
why I
it's not
said,
like-
I was looking for an antique. pickup truck. Anyway, so you need a mobile, because I've done this with the society. We had flatbeds and everything else. It's like torturama.
So it's not your thing.
Yeah. I've done it so many times. Yeah, I know. And then it became so much to set it up. But if you have somebody with a cool car and you have banners and you just decorate it, it just advertise that there's such a thing.
Right.
And then you walk alongside and you hand out your brochures.
Right.
Or information.
On employment
So
training.
and that's pretty simplistic. So, yeah, I would probably do that. If Frank would drive, we have to get Frank into it. Yeah, if Frank would drive the car.
Well, we will not have
Does
another.
it sound good? Would you do that?
Yeah, July 4th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's Friday.
All right, we will not have.
It's a
another-
Saturday. It is
Okay.
Friday. I will be back from vacation on
It is a
Thursday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
So, and that's, yeah, I've done both, where you walk along or where you sit in the back of a truck or, do that. And trust me, they have so few. They're always asking people to do it. So
Coordinate, because we won't have another meeting before then.
we will coordinate with Frank and Tiffany and
Oh,
Donna
yeah,
might
that's a
want
good
to do
point.
it. Could hand out something too, your real estate.
So if we're the 4th of July committee,
Lollipops or candy or something
and
like
there might
that.
be 3 people on the 4th of July
Costco.
committee? Or is that something we can send information, like, how would we coordinate that so we're not breaking any rules?
So as long as you've decided here that that's an event you're gonna participate in,
Yeah,
you can go do it.
okay,
I mean, you don't need to have every detail of the plan wrote out here, as long as it's publicly decided that you're participating in that event.
Okay.
And that you're doing that, you're covered.
And they will be there Friday. So they will, the committee that runs it. So.
This Friday.
Mhm.
Okay. Cool.
And I'll ask them. I just usually go online.
What time does
So
that
if you
start?
look online, it will tell you you register
Mhm.
your group and they'll ask you what you have. But we'll just coordinate and make sure Frank can do it.
Yeah.
Any car, even, it doesn't have to be Frank. We don't want to push you to have that car ready.
You can, whatever.
Whichever, yes, works. Whatever car you would ordinarily drive in that.
I'd rather drive an antique. I mean, I got two 28 Fords and a 29 Ford. Don't matter.
Okay,
They're all the same length, just that the station wagon has a longer, complete straight side.
yeah,
If you're in
yeah,
a
yeah.
pickup truck, you only have 54 inches on the side. If you're in the car, you have probably 6 feet on the side. But the station wagon has an acre area.
okay.
You can hang a banner on.
That's the simplest, is all I'm saying.
Yep, yep,
Simplest
yep,
thing to do.
So when is the market you're talking about?
Tomorrow? No, the July one.
13, whatever Friday, second
July.
Friday of July.
All right, so. So
The rain date
the
following.
Friday, the 11th.
Okay. And I don't think, they'll have the brochure.
That would be 2 events
We
within a
may have
week.
to make get the banner first and get that made quick.
Mhm.
Not sure you'd be able to have the banners or the brochures done by July 4th. We could get the banner done by July 4th. If I send. do you
Yeah,
think-
just get me the
Do you
information.
think you could?
Well, I don't know that I mean, because for sure if we're gonna hand out materials like brochures to everybody
You're
as you
printing
go,
them in here, in-house, you said.
there's no way I can print those that many in-house.
No, I'm thinking for the 4th of July parade, we wouldn't do the trifold brochure,
No.
that we would make something smaller,
Maybe we.
like a
print out
half
the
of an
sheet.
8.5
That's
by
cool.
11.
A handout.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, something that's,
one sheet.
Well,
one
why
sheet
don't you
of
come up with what you
I
want,
will.
get it to me, then we can talk about what you want it to look like. And like, I mean, if it's just printing it on a colored piece of paper and it's a
Yep.
black and white print, I can do that. If you're wanting it to be a color piece, I may not be,
No.
we'll have to see how many you're wanting and what you think I mean, there's a lot of people at the parade, so I
There's a
don't know
lot
how
of
many
people
you
at the
really
parade.
want.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
but it'd be easier and cheaper to print 8.5 by 11s and then just cut them in half.
Yeah,
Mm.
I think for a parade, smaller is better,
Yeah. Because you know what they're gonna do.
because,
Into the trash.
it's less to pick up.
Yeah, lots of trash, that's true.
All right. So are we gonna make a resolution that we're
Okay.
gonna investigate these 2 dates and try to,
well, let me just ask this
Yes.
question, and I don't mean to be like Debbie Downer on this one, but like, what would be the goal of what you're handing out?
To notify people
Awareness.
about what we're doing.
Yep.
So my high level is, hey, we have the Historic Preservation Commission. Our goal is to preserve our historic resources. And, I like little bullets of what is a historic resource, what you can do to help, if,
So let me throw this idea out
Uh-huh.
and tell me what you think about it. What if we took on your banner, we put a QR code that takes everybody to the website that has that information? And then you just have it so that people can shoot the QR code and pick up all that information that you want them to have. I'm just trying to think of a way. My concern is what I don't want to have after the event, which I know we're going to have anyhow, but I'm trying not to add to it,
yeah,
is 100 quarter-size pieces of paper that the Public Works Department's going,
mhm.
oh, we need to go pick all this garbage up in the median because everybody just threw it down. I'm just trying to figure out like, like,
There's a
Plus that
there's a
makes it
better way
easier.
to.
I guess what we could do.
it is a good
like,
use of a QR code.
I'm just saying, like, if the goal is to get the information, I think you could do it that way. And as long as it goes to our website, anytime you change the website information, it always would update.
Right.
So it's, but what website, it's just gonna go to the general township or will? it
No,
go
I
to
would
the
take
township?
it, I would get
It
the
would
Q, we
precise-
would get the QR code to go specifically to your page.
Okay,
Yeah.
And if you could make that be whatever you, however you
Right.
want that landing page to
the
be.
Garris does for the society. We
Yeah.
have it goes right to
Yeah.
our main page or it goes to our donate button.
Or it could be whatever page on the township that you want,
Okay.
whichever one of the pages for the historic
better
commission
Right.
that
We
you
have
want
it-
to
we
do.
You can have the
we have-
QR code
we
put
have
on
the
the
commission
banner.
page, so.
That's what my
what he's
suggestion
saying.
was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we have a coloring book for the township?
A what?
A coloring book of our historic sites? Like
No,
I could create a coloring book and we could link it and like people could just go to the website to print it out.
yeah, you could do that.
So just,
The
Let
main
me know
ones
what
to
sites-
start, the main ones.
you know, like, so just let me know what site you want and I can create a coloring book and you could put, just put it on the website. People could link to that if they wanted to.
That means you can ride in the car. Sit
Always
up
nice.
front,
Yeah.
Ideas for the future.
saves having to walk.
Kathy,
Dig it.
the July 11th market, what time is that again?
Oh, 4 o'clock is the market, but set up is at 3.
Oh,
All right. and-
submitting a public news, a monthly newsletter.
We'll get to that.
All right.
So our publicity committee is okay with doing 2 events in a week?
What's the other one?
4th
July.
of July and then
The following week.
Yeah, that's fine.
You'd be hitting a Friday and then you'd be hitting a Saturday and then
I
following
think
Friday.
that,
The Friday.
Steve's suggestion of the code was smarter because we use a code all the time. We don't hand out a lot of stuff, just some pamphlets in our buildings.
Yeah.
So the code will, you really don't have to even walk unless you're just giving out candy or something to get
I just
attention.
throw it at people.
Yeah, or just give something out like that. And then you're not handing papers out. You can just ride along with Frank
Right.
and we could decorate, just put some things on his car.
If you want a historical golden retriever, my dog's almost 15, I could put her in a wagon. and We could dress her up also,
With a
weather
little
permitting.
scarf.
Yeah.
It gets so hot, yes.
Yeah.
And this is a 1928 car.
Oh, she would just be in a
Real air
wagon.
conditioning.
She'd be in a comfy wagon alongside.
As long as there's no problem staffing.
I don't have. a
2 events in a
problem
week.
doing
Okay. I'm gonna be away, so.
it. You're used- That's fine.
That's what you're
I
saying.
don't mind.
That's what you're saying, right?
I'm leaving town and not
You're
coming back for
pointless.
weeks.
Any time I can get away from my kids, I'm kidding.
See what you're saying. All right.
I'm just saying, we are recording this, so.
I know.
So then I try to hide from them regularly. It's fine.
Looking for
They're
the
so cute.
sign up. Genius. I think they use sign up genius. I have to find it.
Okay.
Do we need to motion that we're going to try and officially do these 2 events?
Sure.
So real quickly, just so if you want to do the QR code on the banner,
Mhm.
please let me know which page you want to go to. I will
Okay.
have,
You look that up.
Yeah.
I will have our communications person create the QR code for you to report, for you to print. I will have somebody do it and get it for you.
Would we all agree that the Historic Preservation Commission page is where we would want it to go?
The homepage? Yeah. Best place to start, because then it has everything on the left-hand side.
It does. I was trying to see if it all worked. Right.
If you want the coloring book,
So
I
there's
can just
also
do a
another
version
way too.
for the township.
There's, this is my.
I'm
So,
I'm creating one for
we
my
wanted to
business,
do
but I
it,
can
we
create
wanted
one
to
just,
show.
for the
I'll share that
historic
with you.
commission for the township, just
So the only
That's
one
great.
left
It's a black
is
and white
August, there's
coloring
one slot
book.
left.
Oh,
of
So we
historic
have,
sites,
we have July.
and places of interest in Newtown Township, like I'm working on it. So-
how long would it take to create something like that?
I'm halfway through right now, so I
Well,
have a
it
couple
should've
more
said
pictures to
share.
take. I take pictures of the houses and I convert them, so.
It could be a fun thing, it could be a fun thing to do.
Mhm,
I think it's something we need to discuss
yeah,
as to how.
You mean
to
my
proceed, but-
email?
I'll finish what I have and I'll
Yeah,
show
show
it to you.
us what you've got.
Yeah.
I'm not as
They're pretty
familiar
cool.
with.
It's honestly a more interactive, better. option than a lot of the other things that have been discussed, so
Mhm.
I like it.
Do stuff on Android.
Okay,
Maybe we put it on
Yeah,
the agenda
I'm
for next
looking
month,
at it.
Yeah.
if we meet during.
Yeah.
it's
July.
okay.
Yeah,
You know,
sounds
it's,
good.
you'll
May or
know
may
the
not.
date. The date is,
Get the additional pictures I need.
second Friday of August is
Mhm.
also open. So if you can do, you want, besides the second Friday in July. Otherwise, I'll just sign the Historic Society
Yeah,
up
I
for
got
the
it.
second. Actually, I'll just take it for us, and if you don't use it, don't worry about it.
I wonder if I can look for it when I
Get this out of here.
food and Maker's Mark.
You might not get,
I know, but when
she
you go
sent
through
out
it-
the sign up genius.
But you can look for them on. Lineup Genius.
Oh, yes, that's true.
Mhm.
Okay, now, cool.
I don't know that we have to have an approval.
So who's generating the artwork for the banner to go to whoever it goes to?
Would that be me?
Do you want to? I mean, I can give you what, we do. I mean, I think they have prototypes because I know the environmental group. I mean, we have the.
Typically, our banners basically say, Newtown Township Historic Preservation Commission, and then we put the seal in the middle. You may want to do it a little differently. You may want to take like one of the three historic places, or maybe two of the historic places, and put on either side of the seal.
Mhm.
You know, like you may, because of what you do is a little different, or you, however you would like to do that, we can look at that, because you have the,
And
the
color
town-
is optional, background color.
typically we do a white,
Yeah,
Okay,
you
we
wanna
do
do
a
the
white
white.
banner with color
Yeah.
on top.
okay.
So we do the
And a
print in
big QR
color.
code somewhere.
Our tents are green if you're using our tents.
Right.
So
Okay, as long as there's a plan for that,
Yep.
because, you know, July is 3 weeks away.
Just put this one in.
Okay. Okay.
All right, so that mostly covers 8.3, 8.5, and 8.6. We did not touch on the commission possibly submitting to the monthly newsletter.
To the township newsletter, right? Is that what we were talking about before?
Yes, I think that, because I submit for the Historic Society, because I think someone should submit, we should have a submission from the commission. And there's a way to hook up, because I get them regularly and I forget her name, but she's.
I got the emails
For the,
newsletter.
yes, but she'll send you out, she needs submissions by, and she gives you a date.
Okay, I do not get that.
Can't remember her name. Is it?
usually it's
Let's try to
either
get you on that
Linda
distribution.
or Rachel.
Okay,
Yeah, it's from Dandelion.
yes,
Okay,
I'll send you that. I'll forward the last one
Okay.
she sent.
and I'll reach out.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then she just sort of put you on there, and then she'll send you, oh, I need your submission, whatever you're doing. You can actually tell what you're doing. So we always put what's coming up, our events and things, but I guess we could put these homes were listed and a picture of them.
You could,
These
I
homes
mean,
are
literally, you
listed.
could write it, you could write a whole article on the importance of what you guys do.
Mhm.
And, you know, what it is, what you're all about, or
Yeah.
you could, and, you know, there's lots of things you can write on. It doesn't have to be
Right.
about an event coming up. It
No,
can
that's
be-
what we do.
it can
That's what I
be-
said.
You can take a property,
Yeah,
We
I think
talked about-
a lot of the articles are from people who are subject matter experts on something, and they're talking about that, not necessarily their business, but, you
Yeah.
know, ancillary to what they're doing.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay,
And we can always brainstorm at this
Okay.
meeting for ideas for future submissions. All right,
Some of the
Okay,
other
this is what
committees
it's like.
take turns. Everybody takes a turn writing an article, so it doesn't become such a burden for any one person. So there's options, whatever you want to do.
and some in the long one, you know. I usually send a picture with the thing on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
when it's coming up, but,
okay.
all right, that's,
We should circle back and touch on 8.4 since we kind of skipped over it. Discussion
yeah.
on the realtor letter. Don't know where we went, where we left off on that
I think
last
we
month.
left off with whose responsibility is it going to be?
I think we wanted to talk to Donna about
Yeah, I think we wanted
what
to.
might be good triggers for knowing when historic houses are coming up for sale.
Well, we talked about some giving this letter to the brokerage firms to share with their agents rather than try to keep an eye on the listings and, you know, rush over to them and say, oh, by the way, you need this. What are your thoughts on that?
I think you definitely have to get, when something lists, you do need to make the effort at least to share information. You know, and it could be just something as simple as just, you know, sending the link so that, you know, to the Historic Commission, if you have any questions, just because a lot of people don't even know that they have often historical houses.
So it'll
If
make no
this-
difference if we send the letter, like, hey, you're listing a historical property to a
yes, to-
brokerage firm?
Well, the brokerage firm, it could just die on the vine.
Right,
Like,
okay.
so, because, you know, each manager, like in my office, I think there's 200 agents amongst them. But one thing that we could do along that line is to maybe to some of the brokerages that do a lot of business in Newtown Township. We could even just, you know, make a mini presentation at their sales meetings or something like that. Just to, some of them are on Zoom, and some are in person, just to maybe just, you know, that would probably be the easiest way to get to the agents. Would be to maybe make a mini presentation, you know, at the sales meeting, because we usually have experts of some field. And, you know, it'd be more exciting than having a septic inspector come in and talk about septic inspections. So I'll
yeah.
tell you, I learned early on in real estate when they says, do you want to see it? Don't look. Because the first time I did, the traumatized. 20 years later. But that may be something along those lines that, you know, prepare the letter and maybe have a letter fashion that it can be, you know, sent to the brokerage managers that are maybe within the township and, you know, surrounding areas. And then, you know, have something that, you know, when somebody lists something, you know, make every effort to at least just email the agent. Should you have any questions, we're here for you.
What's the best way to contact? firms
Really,
in the area?
I can do it, because, you know, I know some of them are located in, you know, physically in here, but just because, a lot of the realtors that have most of the business in Newtown Square changes, of course, year by year. But often they're in Wayne or in Devon and not necessarily in Newtown Square. So we just really have to, you know, expand, like look locally, but it's, you know, I can really pull the stats of the offices that do business in Newtown Square and just really, you know,
Okay.
try to, you know, hit the offices that have the most amount. And it could be just sending the letter and sharing it, but some of them may be open to having a conversation.
But basically, you need, if you do the process the other way around,
Mhm.
putting their house up for sale, they're calling a
Mhm.
realtor. I will tell you, most people in Newtown know if they have a historic
Mhm.
home, but
Mhm.
the onus should somehow be too on a realtor would have to go to a site. They
Mhm.
should go to the township site, or we have a
Mhm.
QR code or something where they look,
Mhm.
oh, what are the rules?
Yeah.
Because that's what they want to know. What
Mhm.
are the rules, which they never want to read the ordinance, but that is really what they're asking you.
Yes.
They want a summary.
And that's the
We
point of
do
the,
not
and that's the
wanna read
point of
it.
the letter is
Tell
that
me,
you're
yeah.
summarizing the important points of it.
And it's,
Yeah, but
it's definitely good
something in
information
writing that
to
could be
have.
Too specific.
You read the letter?
No, I mean for them about what changes and things that they can and can't do. See, I'm just saying that it's a very broad ordinance.
Yes. Mhm.
And most people are fearful and don't understand that what things it does and doesn't cover.
Mhm.
And I, for one, I know I like to reference the ordinance. Or
Mhm.
this is where you will find, or we summarize the ordinance on the webpage.
Mhm. That would
Put
be.
your letter or your information on the webpage. for realtors.
Mhm.
So a realtor goes here and then reads that letter and then summarize like this is, they can read the ordinance for specifics.
Because often when there wouldn't be any connectivity to realize that there's something, it could be a listing agent that's outside of this area, and the house could be in a state where the sellers have passed. So they may not have all the, obviously the house is, most likely historical, but people may not know, and they fill out seller's disclosures, is the property historical? It's often
Yeah,
no,
if we're
50% of the time.
And we're talking about the ones that are already listed on the class 2 resources, so I
There's
mean,
nothing
that's,
like that.
yeah, I mean, right now there isn't, but I mean, it won't be. They
Mhm.
know
Yeah.
because they're the owner and they've gone through the process, and,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah, they should, yeah, definitely they should.
And many times the realtors send the owner to call,
Mhm,
because that's who I end up talking to, the
Mhm.
person trying to buy it.
mhm.
Well, can I do this? I want to do this.
Mhm.
I don't want to buy
We're
it
just
if I
trying to-
can't do this.
Trying to
Yeah.
get some load off Kathy and.
Yeah,
get
Yeah.
people to do
But
a
I,
little
and but,
research
but I also
themselves.
think they need to do a little bit of footwork, so you're not constantly, they should be,
Mhm.
I mean, you walk up to one with a plaque on the front, it says
Yeah.
it's historic.
Mhm.
Okay, I should go to a place and look that up
Yeah.
and find out for my potential client,
Mhm.
and give them the links, and that's what I guess I'm
Well, I
thinking.
can assist you with the letters, how, or help you with the
Email
list,
letter.
or however you want to distribute those, and if you wanted to,
Or just spark
present
up a
this concept.
conversation with
Yeah.
them,
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be like, hey, we now have this letter, please do this for us.
Mhm,
But like, hey, did you
Yeah.
know that this is, and,
mhm.
like to give you more
Yeah.
information, present to your team if you'd like, or I can provide you with.
I mean,
That
most,
So you can send it to. all
Probably
the
most-
realtors in town.
most-
Start.
most realtors,
Email.
at least if I had a letter like that with the historic property, I most likely, and I would attach it to the sellers. I suggest my clients attach it to the seller's disclosure, so it's an available resource and information for the buyers to have. So putting together some type of document that can, or letter that can, like you said, direct people to the ordinance for more information, that's what I would do with a letter like that.
Yeah, if you could, I don't know, whatever is more convenient, phone numbers or, websites, or just,
Okay.
some way to contact them.
Yep, okay.
Alrighty,
Mhm,
we are starting to get a little bit long here,
mhm.
so why don't we,
Well, the last of it is just saying these are the ones that are.
well, yeah, to bounce on to 8.7 and for the discussion, I think we kind of have already determined that we're gonna push to submit all of these for next month.
Right, they've already applied and put in, so it's
Mhm.
basically, they have to be heard. So that's why I was saying that was the part I probably didn't have to do.
It looks like, our July meeting will be the 8th, assuming that we're all committed to not being on vacation on
I'm
the
here.
8th. I may need to zoom in. I think I'll still be away then. All right, so then I think Maura already has all the information on these, so we'll go with those for next month.
Yep.
Don't think we ever did any sort of motion for the 4th parade or the July 11th market.
Do we need to?
Steve, do we need to do an official motion that we're gonna try and do those things? Are we good? All right,
I think you're okay in that you just kind of agreed that you're doing them. You're not, there's no real board action that you're taking. The only thing that you probably want to take an action on is the fact that you want to move forward with the brochure and you want to move forward with the banners.
all right, then we don't have any old business.
So we should do a motion for moving forward with the brochures and banners.
You do a motion.
Yep.
Brochure for the brochure and banner.
Who wants to make that motion?
I'll make a motion that we move forward with the brochures and the banners.
I will second your motion. All in favor?
Okay.
Then we will, under section 8.6, motion that we move forward with printing brochures and banners.
I have a question. Steve, can we give away things at the parade? Like lollipops or gum? Are we allowed to, as a township entity, give treats away to the crowd?
So as a township entity, yes, whether the parade allows it or not, that I don't know. And so if the parade allows it, then
They
yes,
usually did.
I believe they have to be somebody out of the car handing it to the kids.
Yeah.
yeah,
You don't want to throw
Can't
from the
throw it.
car
yeah, what,
to the kids.
yeah, I-
Beam them in the
I
eye.
have, well, I
I-
have the worst panic is I have that if you throw something, it
They'll
doesn't
come
go all the
running.
way.
Yeah.
Then you have a kid run out in the
That's what
street,
they
try
do.
to pick it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
And then you have a vehicle being driven down the street who's
Mhm.
paying attention to the vehicle in front of them,
Yeah.
not necessarily who's running around them. So like for years in Phoenixville, when I was there, I kept trying to get them to not allow people to throw because that was the danger.
Mhm.
And you would watch people running to the
sure.
middle of the street.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. So, yeah, I would much rather it be handed.
Okay.
That's, let's say from, if it's gonna happen as a township entity, that's what I would suggest.
Squirt them with water.
I don't know if Frank wants water near his car though.
No, when you're walking.
No, they shoot water back at you. Believe me, my kids
Oh.
come prepared every year.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that
Oh, you
did,
didn't know that? No,
that
no.
did happen last year.
I have to
You're-
tell you, I've been missing this wonderful
No,
adventure.
you
So,
come up with your Home Depot bucket full of water
Yeah.
and then you've got your long squirt guns and when they
Yeah.
come to squirt you, you squirt them back.
Oh, my God.
That happened last year.
I am sorry I've missed that opportunity.
Oh, Lord.
That's like their favorite part.
Yeah, I never saw them shoot.
It's a competition. Section 10, public comment. We do not have a public here
Oh, do
today,
we have old
so
business?
we'll not have
Do we
comments.
have any old business?
What?
Do we have any old business?
We didn't have any old business. Are there items that we have not discussed that we want on the next agenda? All right, then we will move past number 11. And I will motion that we adjourn this meeting.
Did you say something, Steve?
I just would make note that I did look it up. I think there is a 30-day requirement notice. And
So-
so I will verify that with the attorney. Even if they're the applicant, what the 30 days, the piece that it says, unless the property
Yes.
owner is proposed by the owner, there shall be a notice of the proposal of receipt of the proposal that the property, ugh, that was written funny, be placed on or removed from or reclassified. So in other words, there's not that requirement. They have a 30 days before they respond. But then it says at least, the next one down says at least 30 days prior to holding the public hearing, public meeting, not hearing, public meeting, to consider the proposal to the Historic Commission shall send notice to the owner of the property. Such notice shall include the date, time, and place, the public meeting at which the Historic Commission will be considered for
I-
proposal and action.
That to be, that unless the owner was, and in that instance, the
But they're
owner
two
is being
different-
notified because they weren't maybe the applicant,
Well, but they're two different lines. They're two different actions.
right?
So I think that there's still the 30-day requirement, but I will confirm that with the solicitor. I'm just telling you the way it's, the way
Well,
it's
no, I
written.
found that very not clear.
No, I understand, but the way, that's why I wanted to look it up specifically. I
read it
remember,
20 times.
I remember reading what you read, the part that, the first line, unless the
Yes.
property. But that's regards that it gives them 30 days to respond prior to the meeting. And so it's a whole different story. But
We
this
should
just
have
means,
30 days, right?
No.
well, we don't, but we'll give notice and we'll plan for the 7th or the 8th. My understanding is that you've gotten you have, if anybody objects, we'll put it in the letter in such a way that if anybody objects, we'll let you know. Okay?
Yeah,
But we'll just do it with,
28 days out.
We put them in on Monday or Tuesday.
well, that's not the problem. We have to give notice. We have to give 30 days notice. That's the difference. So we'll work on it. I'll work with Mara, and we'll come up with a plan of how to do it.
So
We'll make a
maybe
little,
just skip July's meeting.
well, and that's.
We're not
one
gonna have
option.
anything to do.
I mean, you've got several things you're doing, so that's one option.
Yeah.
But then we can get set for, but we'll either, what we'll do is we'll write the letter stating that you're allowed a 30-day notice, but if you're okay, we're gonna do it on this date. And if we don't hear back from them, then that'll be where the challenge is.
That sounds good.
Okay?
In which case, we should work on our notices for the August one before the next meeting.
Yeah, my recommendation was if we had them in like 45 days in advance, that gives the staff time to get the letters out to the property owners.
Well, right, but it would always be 45 days, because you don't know
Well-
when, whenever you put it in, it'll be 45 days in advance, because you technically are just hoping, you don't have a planned date, you have to have that here. So, yeah, it was just this time we thought, yes,
Yeah,
we would.
I'm just,
But in the future, yeah, so if you put it in, say I get them in 3 weeks from now, you would assume it's gonna be not in the next meeting or it'll be, that's what I'm saying.
yeah,
So it's just an assumption. It's gonna
Yeah.
be.
when,
We
It's
have,
that long.
we have
just know
30
that
days.
we need them at least 45 days in advance if you want it on the
Okay.
agenda.
Yeah,
Because
we have.
we
more
need
than-
time to
we have-
process it.
We have more than 30 days between July and August. So if we plan on doing any notifications a week or two before that meeting, then we'll be fine for August.
Oh, I got you, okay.
We're just short on this one because.
Yeah,
it's
it
a
would be
short
nice to know a deadline date.
Mhm.
one. Anything else you wish to
Yours?
cover?
Is that here? Oh, no, it's here.
You
No,
can zoom
I'm
it out.
good.
Forgot
I'll
what
make a
else.
motion that we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second that motion.
I think Chris
All in
is
favor?
done with today.
I think we tried that twice.